All right, so we're gonna.
I'll take this one. I'll take it. Yeah.
I'd like to welcome everybody to this June 15th meeting of the Zoning and Planning Board, Scotland County. I do believe we have a quorum, and I would also like to remind everybody of the purpose of the zoning board, which is to help protect the health, safety, and well-being of the citizens of Scotland County. First order of business, approval of meeting, minutes from planning meeting for May 18th. I'm gonna assume everybody's taking a minute to read taking time to read those minutes. Do we have any discussion or additions to the minutes of the meeting from May 18th? No discussion. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve it. Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? By like sign, we have approval of minutes from May 18th. Our business this evening is one which seems to be pretty familiar with us by now. We have a request for rezoning for a new solar farm, and I'm hoping that everyone has taken time to take a look at the documents we got with the agenda, the location of the farm, some of the comments that were made, and we do have a larger document here, which I'm assuming this is just an expanded part of what we got in our agenda.
There's some extra stuff, but for the most part, yes.
We have seen a lot of solar farms come through, and by now I think we're fairly familiar, but I do think this is the first one under special use permit using Article 13 in our new zoning ordinances. And just to mention, I'm assuming that the new Article 13 was made, that was part of the permitting process for this one. So I have looked at that, and I'm pretty comfortable with it, but I know we do have some folks here that would like to give us a comment on the farm and its use, and we will open the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Tom General. I stood here before you sometime in 2021 for something called Gum Swamp Solar. I don't need to go through this whole notebook. You essentially saw it the last time. It is the same company, Pine Gate Renewables. I know you've had several solar farms. Nobody does it as good as they do. I've worked with a lot of these companies in many capacities. I'm glad to walk you through it. If you need any in-depth look, I will be glad to report that we had a neighborhood meeting, sent letters to everybody whose property adjoined, even including the ATV park, where it has all the motorcycles and the ATVs out there. Nobody came. We just sat there for a couple of hours talking to each other. But I would like to introduce who is here. Mr. Nick Kirkland, if you have a question about property values, if you have a question about the site plan, Nicole Davis will be glad to answer the questions. And then I'm more than happy to introduce you to Mr. Hugh Fulton. I have enjoyed getting to know Hugh over the last several hearings. In the last hearing, CB Pate was the property owner. In this case, it's Walker Farms, of which his wife is an owner. May I say that? Is that not comprehensive?
She's the president.
She's the
Walker
boss.
Farms has the Fulton household.
And they also own property next door as well. Would you like to say anything?
If I could just speak briefly, y'all, I think most of you knew my father-in-law, Buck McCoy. This is land that he owned and left to his children. And obviously, Martha and her four siblings had some significant discussion. Would this be something that their father would look down and be supportive of? And I think those of you who knew Mutt knew he was a very forward-thinking person. And their sense was that converting this portion of the land that he left to them would be something that he would be pleased with. And frankly, that was the primary determining factor for these folks to be willing to look at solar and then based on my recommendation, ZB Pates had a number of properties that we've worked with Pine Gate. As you can imagine, with ZB Pates holdings across 6 counties, we've had every Tom, Dick, and solar developer there is to pass through my office. And we found Pine Gate was the one that we felt the most professional, most dependable, the ones that we could rely on to do what they say they would do and be good stewards of the land, not just developers. So I'm here in support for Martha and her siblings on this zoning request. So thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Hugh, has your ZV project already been active or?
Well,
What you're referring to?
what's happened, a more general statement is that Duke Energy, and I will speak ahead of these experts, from all we understand, has got complete control of the solar development now. And so there's a real question about what's going to be approved when, and nobody seems to know the answers to that. And if Duke knows or not telling.
That's well
Is that a
stated.
fair statement?
Duke controls the pipeline because it's power going onto its grids. This results from a statutory change in 2017. What we're doing is taking a project to Duke. Now, we're confident that this meets most, if not all, of their criteria and will be a very, very, very good candidate for that.
So you want to have these things ready when Duke is ready to accept the power, is that what you're saying?
Yes. Is there any other questions we can answer?
You mentioned Duke Power, just as a question. Does Lumber River get involved in any of these projects at all?
You're talking about the local cooperative.
Yes.
I think, no, it does not. Now, the Lumber River buys its power from Duke, and gets it, but it distributes it, to members of the local cooperative.
Okay.
There is a big difference in the cooperative and Duke Energy. Duke's one of the largest energy companies in the world. It's now owned by a private equity firm. It used to be publicly traded, but the local co-op is different. It's under the umbrella of the North Carolina Electric Membership Corporation. They provide good, low-cost energy in rural areas throughout North Carolina. Couldn't do without them. Couldn't do without them.
We are the last house on the longest line.
Is that
on
right?
the river. So if the power goes out, we're the last ones to come
We
out.
are on the other end.
You're on the other, okay.
I hate that, but I will tell you, the reputation of the co-ops is that when there's a hurricane or an ice storm, they're the first to get out there to take care of the people. And
Board members, questions? The only thing that I was looking at was, I do see that there are a couple of areas designated for delineated wetlands. A little bit of explanation about how those areas are going to be handled to maintain that designation.
Yes, so we went out and they delineated the wetlands, and we will be putting a buffer around the wetlands, and those won't be impacted at all as part of construction. So they'll be well protected, and there'll be a buffer off of it.
Like we would always see the black plastic around.
So essentially avoidance. So they'll be delineated before they start construction, and it won't be a part.
yes, it would be certainly, you know, somebody that goes out with the flags, a wetland specialist, and it has to meet all the criteria of the Army Corps.
And the boundary fence will enclose all of that. That won't be an exception.
It will be within the fence generally.
Okay.
Yeah, there really isn't a point to fence it off once the site's operational.
Other questions?
Yeah, what about the, I hate to say wetland, but that's called McCorn Bay. See all them white, blue lines, that's canals.
What page are you on?
You're talking about just up here on delineated wetland, is that?
He's talking about the canal left of that wetland you just had your finger on.
Right.
Go left 3-4 inches,
Sam, what page are you on?
not that far.
I'm on
Right there.
Middle of that
35.
field.
Come back. to the
35?
Middle of the field.
Go
Back
to
to
your
the
right.
back to the darker line in the middle of the bay.
Do you know what
This one?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, this one is the only one that came up as a blue line, so the court deemed that this was
One over to
jurisdictional.
your right, that bay.
The
right
big
there.
bay,
Big bay,
down and to your right.
that's it, that's called McCarn Bay.
Oh,
That's
as
the one
opposed
we
to a
were just
wetland?
discussing.
Yeah, if I may jump ahead of you, because I didn't capture on this, they actually had a group came, come in and actually did, I think it was 19, it drilled in 19 places to determine, it's Pantego soil, but determined if it would be delineated as a wetland, and they got finished on
I thought you were talking about the canal in the middle of the field being blue line, it's gonna be protected too.
Yes.
Yeah, so it ain't gonna probably be disturbed, Sam, because they don't want to make the drainage issue worse than what they find it.
Any other discussion? And I don't think we have any public here to make a comment. While hearing no more discussion, do I have a motion that we approve this change in, pardon me, this zoning change to go before the county commissioners?
I'll make a motion.
Second,
Second.
all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Motion is approved. I think that's it. Easy peasy.
Thank y'all.
it. Thank you.
That's the nice thing about having seen as many solar farms in Scotland County as we have.
That's
All of the hard questions got asked years ago. So, we appreciate it.
Y'all can keep those notebooks if you'd like. Okay. Well, we'll just,
Can you use them somewhere else?
you want,
Can you use them somewhere else?
we can use them at the
90%.
board of commissioners meeting.
I just hate to waste.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd rather not kill more trees.
I have to keep mine.
We had our copy.
I might make use of the binder.
I will keep this one for my
You,
files,
please keep it.
but you can get hers. And be careful with that mic going across.
I am going to.
It's got that same ridge all the way around.
How about that? What's your due date?
July 8th. Thank you.
I have a dedicated associate who works for me. July 8th for her too.
Oh, wow. Well, send her.
You
best
give
of
Martha
luck.
my best.
I certainly will, thank you.
And
Y'all,
we'll put it on prayer list for church.
So we go back to the doctor on the 27th, and we'll do an x-ray, and that'll tell us how well the fusion's taken. So that's the one we're keeping our fingers crossed on. You know how it is, John, what doctor says about that?
Well, they're great people here and they can perform miracles.
Don't be a miracle, you do some decent luck.
There you go, there you go. Take care.
Thank y'all. Any old business that come up tonight? I just wanted to mention that we did get, I did go before the county commissioners after we had chosen not to approve the draft of the planning and zoning comprehensive land use plan. And Ed, I'm assuming that you and Whit and Kevin had some conversations.
I had to quit, and basically, it was one of those things where they kind of held their nose and did it with the understanding that Kevin was going to try to really prod the folks from COG along to get the revisions moving quickly for this board to hopefully adopt quickly to avoid the situation where by having nothing in place July 1, we couldn't enforce our zoning regulations. And so it was not something that I don't think anyone had really enjoyed doing. And they certainly respected this board's recommendation, I don't think.
How are they gonna handle that 30-day wait, public comment period?
Well, we got another meeting on July 11th, which I think would be, they can ratify it then.
Okay.
But,
Okay.
I doubt we get any comments.
Yeah, me too. I'm just hoping nothing happens in that 10 days,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So, Is there any other old business that needs to come up this evening? And we do have other business, and Brooke, I'm assuming this is something coming from you.
The official map, that's part of 160D is for
Oh,
us
this
to
is
have the official
that
map.
map here, okay.
Yes, and that's been updated for the new ordinance and to be official to go online. Because we haven't had an official map with our
Okay.
land use plan since 1977.
So we now have two of the three steps complete to be done.
Yes.
And once we have a land use plan in place, we'll be totally compliant.
Yes.
And just for those that might have had an interest, this map also shows the extraterritorial jurisdiction of the city, and Highland Road is the limit of that. So the new solar farm that was brought for us this evening is all outside the ETJ. And I had a question about that, and these ladies told me I already had a map. I didn't realize it.
What about East Laurinburg? Is it part of
I have not heard anything on the East
They're not gonna
Laurinburg.
exist in about a month, but I mean, do
I was
they-
here, I think they are looking to find out on the 11th, but I won't be here.
But I think it's coming up Tuesday, but are they part of what's considered are going to be considered ETJ or?
I think that they are gonna be in the ETJ of the city of Laurinburg. I mean, they had no zoning before. Everything is just zoned E-Berg.
Mhm.
So if it comes up that we get that zoning for whatever reason, how will we know what it's zoned? Like,
Do you want? Okay.
Now,
Yes, ma'am.
this map, if you'll notice, it's got East Laurinburg in the ETJ already.
Independent.
but it
Yeah,
could
but
still be
that's
issued to us
I'm
at
not
this
sure
point.
that's- I was trying to figure that out too. What'd you say?
It could, Kevin said it could still be given to us. I mean, we're not in the clear of it yet. But if we do, how do you know if it's commercial, neighborhood, like
So
where
we
does,
never zoned anything in these.
Right. because there is a church there in East Laurinburg who is looking to do some construction.
I think that's probably.
I don't even know where to start with the zoning part of it.
Let's see, there's some pink and pink there, so I think that's probably East Laurinburg.
So was the city zoning East Laurinburg?
No, East Laurinburg was not city nor
It
county,
was, you know.
but it does fall in their
Because it
ETJ.
was a municipality itself.
That's correct.
Well, this map's got it in the ETJ. So
Well,
for our information only.
you talking about the pink?
No,
Cause that's East Lumber right there, right?
That's Lee's Creek, which
That's
is.
right, cause there's all the streets.
Yeah.
I got you. My $6 glasses is not working with me too well. I left my good ones an hour and a half away.
look, I know there's a piece at Deercroft that's zoned commercial, and I can't quite see on here whether that's colored the way it's supposed to be. But did y'all just pick up what the prior zoning was?
We went through all of our maps
Uh-huh.
that we had, the 4 maps, and anything that was in red that had been corrected, we made to this. So anything that was not corrected in those maps, we have no way until we cross that property that it was rezoned.
I'll deal with you about it then.
I'll be glad to look at that. But anytime we have a rezoning and it's approved, it will be changed on this map. So it will be updated anytime we have a rezoning on our website as far as in the office.
That's wonderful.
Is there anywhere I can cut cartwheels?
Yeah, it's true.
Been a long
Go
time
ahead.
coming.
Right
Good you
Yourself.
can.
Woo!
Help yourself.
Might kind of probably roll you, but that's about it.
Anything else come before the board tonight? Brooke, we wish you well.
Thank you.
You know, you will not be with us next time if we have a meeting next month. You're out in
July 8th.
July 8th. Donnie, thank you for filling in.
I'll maybe call you.
We have Well, I don't know what good help, you probably know more than I do, but please, any of us that can help
Call
you
any
out,
of us.
any of us, please. Would I have a motion, we adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second,
I'll say.
all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? We'll see you next month if we have business.
I didn't want to, catch up on y'all on what I missed last week.
No, good.
I got the impression it was,